It is a crucial time to talk Tesla technicals. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education, and if you want to know how to think the unthinkable, you simply need an iceberg. All right, so 2 videos ago, I talked about what could happen if we get favorable deliveries, that we could blast off through resistance. That's exactly what happened. It's good to see that. And then I also said we could possibly peak out from that news at about 238, 239. We'll see if that holds true or not. As a matter of fact, by the time you see this, you might find that out. But I do have a larger prediction here going on through that full self-driving day that I think we're going to see some pretty incredible opportunities pop up between now and then. So let me put the technicals up here for you. We'll start talking through the chart. So we're looking at the daily chart right now for Tesla. You can see we got excellent volume the last 2 days. Pretty good. Took us over the 200, setting us up for a possible golden cross moment in the future. That's where the 50, which is in blue here, and then up here in yellow, the 200. 50 crossing over the 200 is incredibly bullish, and we're certainly on a path for that right now, as long as what we see leading up to earnings is still positive, that the markets especially hold out in the overall sense. So we got to watch for those. They're going to affect all stocks trading multiples, including Tesla. So if the markets should happen to go south for some reason, it's going to really drag on these sort of predictions and numbers that I put out there. So just keep that in mind as a caveat. But for Tesla itself, assuming the market stay relatively the same or move upward, that's going to make it easier for Tesla to move up and then reaching that $300 price prediction that I have by August. So the volume that we got yesterday, absolutely incredible, pushed us up through resistance. Today we're up above that in the pre-market hours. Let's go down to the hourly chart so we can see where we peaked out in the pre-market so far. So in the pre-market, 239.88. So that 240 number that I put out there, we've gotten there in the off-peak hours. I think that it's still possible that we have a bit more of a run-up, maybe even pushes that 250 mark. We're going to have to see, but there is something else that we should really take into consideration. I'm going to put it back to the daily chart so we can see this. On the daily chart, this trend line that you see, this is a very long, well over 2 years, going back to October, November 2021. I've shown this in my previous videos for weeks now, talking about this trend line, and we've been rejected off of it. Let me show it here for people who are first-time viewers of my channel or first time looking at these sort of charts. This is what I was talking about for a long time, all the way going back to where we touched down here and really confirmed this as support going back to April, looking at those prices. And you can see all the way back to, it is November of 2021, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost 8 times that we got resistance there. And now finally breaking over that. And mind you, right here, this is the 50-month. That can be significant resistance for us. Although for above that, it can become significant support. And that brings me to my next point. Let's go back down to the daily chart here. So on the daily chart, this resistance is very significant. We finally pushed up over it. If we're able to get a full candle close above it, that can finally confirm it broken. And on that volume from yesterday, it's certainly possible that we get that today. So we need to be watching for that to see what exactly happens. Honestly, one of the best case scenarios in the near term is that we push up strongly up above that, get a nice big green candle out of that, and that could also push our RSI up higher, further into the overbought territory. Yesterday, it closed out at about 80, but if this thing starts to push above 85 in the 90, that can actually set us up for a really nice reversal. And I will say that for this resistance that is now turning into support, that can have significant gravity leading up to a retest of that trend line. So are we going to go straight up from here to 300? Who knows? I certainly don't. But I will say that I do think before we get to that 300 that there's going to be a retest of that support line. Probably getting a little bit scary. Maybe we even peekaboo back down through it. And I mean, other possibilities out there. We could get an engulfing candle. Maybe we retest all the way down to the 200 line. So that's all the way down here at about 205, 206. We're just going to have to watch and see. But I will say that if we're able to solidly break above resistance beyond just what we had yesterday, hold on to it today as well, then we could have a retest. We could have that significant support coming in, and then that sets us up nicely for a further run into earnings, which, by the way, I will say that what we have here on TradingView, I said yesterday that it's going to get updated. It said that was approximately the 17th of July. I said give TradingView a day to update it. Probably sometime yesterday I had to update it. Now it's officially the 23rd, so it's reflected on TradingView the same way as that was announced with the delivery news coming out of Tesla. So a few other things to consider. Remember, if you watched my video yesterday, I talked about the fact that their energy storage has more than doubled. I think I said 2.35x what it was. That was just from some quick mental math, but I will say you can go ahead and check that. It's going to be really close to what you have, going from about 4 gigawatt hours up to 9.4 gigawatt hours from one quarter to the next. And then also those deliveries, not at an all-time high, but it is one that comfortably moves us up from what we had at the bottom. So this is going to be a nice run up to earnings, and then earnings is really going to set us up for that next catalyst. And there are 3 things that really need to happen in order for that $300 stock price prediction to come to fruition leading up to August the 8th, which I do believe that that's going to be a massive sell the news event, and earnings could possibly even be a sell the news depending on how we approach it with the price coming in. It is possible that we come in high, that we sell off with earnings. We'll have to see what sort of guidance we get, if any. We'll see if we get some sort of delivery guidance for the year. I don't believe that we got that at the end of Q4. I don't even know that we really got solid guidance on it for Q1 for the production level that we have, which is still expected to be around 2 million. So that would have to put us up from where we're at right now. So I think we had 410,000-ish vehicles produced and then 441,000 delivered. I think it's going to be an excellent quarter. I think watching the margins increase, as I believe that they will, between the fact that they don't have a lot of vehicles sitting around that they sold about 30,000 more than what they produced, getting rid of some of that excess that would have been just sitting around and sort of dragging on their margins. Instead, now that is something that can help to bolster what we see in revenue, and then it can also translate to the bottom line as well, that they didn't spend money producing more vehicles than what they delivered. Instead, they delivered more vehicles than what they produced, taking away some of that overhead. So moving on from there. So we have in those 3 catalysts, we got one of the 3 so far on the way to 300. That strong deliveries, strong earnings is what it's going to take, and also continued hype and anticipation for what we get for the robo-taxi full self-driving day on August the 8th. But I do believe that that's something that we're going to see when we look at this price prediction that I have up here by August the 8th. I'm going to stand by that for right now. And I will say on a technical level, it does mean that we retest and we get support here on this trend line. If we break back down through, then our next hope is the 200 and getting some support there. Wherever those retests might happen to be, we need to keep this golden cross moving in order for that to happen. And we also need the hype and anticipation going for it. And we also need the markets to at least hold out at about where they're at right now. Some sideways trading or moving up, minimal downward, because like I said, the more the markets trade down, the harder it's going to be in order for us to reach that, because what we're doing is we're lowering the platform and then trying to jump higher, and that's a difficult thing to do. If you've ever jumped in an elevator that's going down, it feels weird and it doesn't feel like you're jumping at all. And so that's something to keep in mind as you look at this. So I'm going to wrap this up for right now. Excellent news, excellent price action for Tesla. I think it's going to be very exciting leading up to earnings. I do think that there's going to be a retest of support, whether it's at the trend line, which I think is the most likely, or it's down at the 200-day. And then I think we're going to get a significant bounce from there. From either one of those, like I said, most likely the trend line, but the 200-day is that secondary support that I think that we could see from here. And I think they're well set up to see that golden cross happen between now and August the 8th on the daily chart, where that 50-day simple moving average crosses over that 200 moving average. And I think that there's a decent amount of appreciation that can take place. I think there's a significant case for it out there. If you guys want to know where to find me, there's a link for the Patreon down in the description. Click that, support the channel. Meet me over in the Discord. You can talk to me and my community members, see my buys and sells and how I'm playing this market. And then also, if you learn to do technical analysis like I do, there's a link in the description for that as well. You can click that, sign up, get access to easily digestible content, and then also just learn to empower your portfolio through technical analysis type trading. Thank you guys for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.